Austin Foreman. We are live here in the podcast studio. A little curveball here on the midweek, I guess a little hump day, Austin. We got to keep them on their toes. We are recording. It is live on a Wednesday for Old School. We are brought to you by the Mercado Certified Piedmontese Special Ingredients and Butcher Shop. 2 locations in Lincoln, 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill. I always say every type of meat and every type of cut. But Austin, a lot of stuff going on. We're going to really hammer, obviously, college basketball. Obviously, last night, the women's team handled business by beating the brakes off of Northwestern, which was, just to jump into what, the women's team, obviously, it goes without saying, has some, obviously, off-the-court potential issues that you have to fight through. I don't even think you have to fight through it. And I don't think there's anything new for them. So I think that's a little bit, made it a little bit easier, but ultimately going out and facing it, right? It's one of those things. And I was my only, we had tons of experience, unfortunately, with it when I was at Nebraska then, with Lawrence Phillips and stuff like that. But ultimately, what sport, which is mine, football and basketball, that's kind of where you find solace. You're at peace. And, for them to get maybe surprised by it or just having old wounds kind of festered up, it does take a little bit out of your team. But I think, it really is a credit to Coach Williams and the staff is that they're able to focus and then battle through it, right? They come in as a heavy favorite at home. A little bit of anxiety. Are we going to get supported? Who's going to be there? Obviously, I think women's basketball is supported immensely. I know you've been in the game. It's a really good crowd. They have a great following. 8 o'clock, Big Ten. And then also when you're playing a Northwestern team that you should beat, right? So Northwestern is coming from Evanston thinking, we got a wounded here. But ultimately, I think the emergence of Potts to go along with Kowski, when you got doubles right there, and they can play off of each other, which is great. And then you always have one of the guards that steps up, and Nicely stepped up really nicely. Jazz Shelley, a little bit subdued as far as the points, but the 6 assists are really good. So by the
one turnover,
right? But then Nicely had 1.6 assists. So in your guard play, which we'll also talk about with the men's when we talked about the last time they played Indiana, the assist or to win the guard battle. And then off the bench, Stewart coming off with 13, and she started to play real well. Then you're able to, with the 25-point victory, right, consistent scoring in every single quarter, get some playing time. And as the season starts to wind down, you want to handle your business, which they did, but then also get people some playing time in some much needed minutes.
Absolutely, because this Nebraska team, it doesn't feel like a question of if they're going to make postseason play, it's what do they do in the postseason. So this is the time where you have to keep your starters enough run to keep them in rhythm, to keep them in the flow of the good basketball that they've been playing for the last few games. But then also make sure they're rested, right? It's the end of a long Big Ten schedule. They've had their ups, they've had their downs. And we know that when you look at Nebraska, it starts with Shelley and Markowski that play a lot of minutes. So you can afford probably to take them off the court in some of these moments. Even if you can just buy them 2 or 3 minutes a night from here on out, instead of playing, say, 32 minutes, playing 30. Instead of playing 35 in a tight game, can you get that down to 31, 32 minutes? Because that'll add up come Big Ten tournament time, where I think Nebraska has the stage pretty well set to get another big win and make the postseason outlook, look better.
Right.
But it's a compounding effect. At the end of the long season, how much, a couple snaps off, getting a drive off, make the difference when you get into the end of the year.
And the most important thing with the coaching staff, and it's not just Amy Williams as a head coach, the assistant coaches, is they always there's a saying that you want to keep the players out of the way, right? You always want to play. I want to play every play. Because in your mind, you think, look, I've trained all off season. But strategic rest while still being in the competitive nature is imperative right now. Because rest, recovery, focus is something that has to be just up there so you can perform when you need it. Because there's going to be a time, say you're in a, hopefully in the second or third day of the Big Ten championship after hopefully getting a bye. Well, then now you're going to have to play extended minutes. You got to have that in your kind of your back pocket, or we used to call it the piggy bank. And even though you had a game on Tuesday night, I think it was more pressure packed based on the stupid stuff outside of it. And really, what people don't understand, I think that Amy Williams done a really good job as far as leadership goes. They can shut it off. And the weird, I guess, the good thing is, if there's ever a good thing out of something that had nothing positive about it,
Mhm.
a lot of these young ladies, obviously, without the obvious, were here already. So
Mhm.
they've kind of already, you already been there. Like, all right, yeah, it's kind of like I always say this, like a family reunion, right? I won't name any names. I got a sister and a couple older aunts or uncles, right?
Mhm.
I'll just leave it so nobody knows it, right? That when we have either family reunions or gatherings, you have like a little anxiety, you know they're coming, but then when they pop up and they do their thing, then that's when it hits you, and then it's like, oh, okay, no big deal. We've seen it 50 million times, right? I think
Mhm.
that's what it is. That's what that was. It was a really good victory, right? When you have pots in you and points and rebounds, and initially to lead to assists, I think that's important, right. So you're seeing
Mhm.
it with Markowski, Shelley, your two big figureheads, like you said. Potts is emerging. Then you always want to have that third one and fourth one coming after that. But even though you played on Tuesday, you're still looking to improve. You don't have a ranked team in the last two games. You got one more home game for the seniors. But
Mhm.
and normally playing Minnesota, right? I think they're 14-10. So you're like, okay, Nebraska should win them. We're 18-9, I think. Um, okay, it should be, kind of, I wouldn't say like a walkthrough, but it's Saturday at 4 o'clock, right? But 61-58. I wouldn't say embarrassing, but or 62-50, excuse me. Um, it was I guess it's a annoying and disappointing loss up in Minnesota.
Mhm.
And we've seen with the men's team, right?
Right.
You go up there and it's like it's on the sleepy part of campus. It's the old barn,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, I
So
remember.
right,
Mhm.
so it's kind of sleepy, right?
Mhm.
It kind of can
Mhm.
lull you to sleep, and it's almost like they slow the clock down, right? Because the
Kinda feels
Nebraska, well, the Nebraska is winning, and the next thing you know, they get they must have like some 5 hour energies or something. They come back. Well, look, you always want to get your get back, right? And
Mhm.
we talked about it yesterday on old school with high school games.
Mhm.
Well, listen, now we get you at home. Now
Mhm.
we're trying to push to the 20 win mark. You're in our way. We got you at home. You might have surprised us per se, or better yet, we'll take it on the chin. You outplayed us, but now we get you to get that 19th victory before we go on the road. So I think it's a good thing to where you get back to it today, maybe a walkthrough and film weights or whatever they do, recovery, obviously
Mhm.
two really good practices, right? And then boom, we get to play again. So you're kind of staying on schedule. Then you get some extended time off, right? So it's kind of like what the men had before Penn State, right? You get that
Mhm.
extended time off, go through the end of February on the road, and then boom, we're right into the Big Ten. So then you kind of get a game before you get into the Big Ten tournament. So I think for the women's team, sets up pretty well. And then also you can do some deals with some housekeeping notes. So I think it's a good opportunity for them to finish off a pretty good season, considering, um, it was kind of it was 50-50 before the season how good this team would be, right? You had
Mhm.
the two knowns, but look, we had Weiner unfortunately get hurt,
Mhm.
get early,
Yeah.
so that kind of like you got to start the season over, right?
Right.
Because she's healthy, she's back from last year, she
Mhm.
was an emerging player, obviously,
Kinda
prior.
heartbeat of the team
Right,
in some
heartbeat,
ways.
the
Mhm.
energy, like, "Dang, this girl
Mhm.
is good. She's back. Okay, we got the confidence." Now you get the 3 no.
Yeah.
Oh, boom, gone.
Mhm.
Ivy, all that stuff. It's part of the deal, but I think they've done a really good job of handling it, and then also, I think the schedule, if you ever could have a schedule, is set up pretty good for them to peak
Mhm.
before they, head up to, the Big Ten championship.
Right, you come off the Ohio State game where you have 30 turnovers, you get down double digits at Purdue, you're starting to, get in your feelings a little bit. Feel like, "Okay, what comes next?" Well, they
Right,
have to come back, end up winning by double digits at Purdue.
right,
That's a huge turnaround. I think that sparks this team, and they take care of business against Northwestern, allow single digits in the first quarter,
right,
come out and play some good basketball from the jump. Minnesota's just always been annoying to Amy Williams.
right,
Not often better, usually comparable to slightly worse than Nebraska
right,
is. It just feels like Minnesota's kind of that thorn in the side. They'll pop up and get Nebraska when you don't necessarily expect them to, and that's what happened up at the barn, right?
yeah,
Nebraska got off to a slow start,
yeah,
down 9 after the first, score only 9 points in the second quarter. You're down double digits at halftime. You claw back,
Right.
but you still end up losing the game by 4. It was too little, too late. So the hope is that with revenge on the mind, feeling good after winning on the road, coming back winning at home, finish out on a big note for the seniors that'll be departing, play good basketball one final time at home, parlay that into a good final road performance.
Yeah, and Nebraska, you got Michigan State, a game behind, two games in the win column, but a game behind as far as the standings. And to that, obviously, which is huge to be a top 4 in the Big Ten, that sets you up potentially going to the NCAA tournament, so forth and so on. So you got to start thinking, okay, what do we need to do? This is I got to have it, right? Because being on the road at Illinois, you got to figure that's their last seniors night and seniors game. What are they going to be able to do? So I think this is a huge game because essentially, I think if they win this game, correct me if I'm wrong, it pretty sets them up to have that number 4 spot locked because they're 2.5 games behind Indiana in the standings. You can't.
You're not doing any better.
Right, because you can't make it up. So I think that's why this is a huge game. I think it sets up if it wasn't a team that they had kind of stubbed their toe against. I think Nebraska's a better team now, right? I think they've obviously, grown up. You had a great victory against Iowa. You've had some disappointment. You had to learn how to deal with success very early, coming right off of getting patted on the back, not only locally but nationally. And I think it was a learning experience. And to go up there and not even play close to your, I wouldn't average level of basketball.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean,
average wasn't going to get it done. You didn't even reach that.
Right. You didn't give yourself a chance. Right. And so a lot of fourth theirs and then in Ohio State, they were waiting for you. You were right for the picking. They always say that it was a trap game. And a trap game, usually what people think is, as far as Ohio State or just that game or just a trap game, is like, you're the better team. You're playing a team on the upswing. Well, this is the opposite. You have a team that beat Iowa previously, and we had the whole Caitlin Park dust up. And then you showed a different type of Nebraska team to beat Iowa, which you hadn't done before while Caitlin Clark's been in college. And it put Ohio State on notice, right? So actually, you did Ohio State a favor.
Oh, you absolutely did.
So the head coach at Ohio State had no problems, getting that team motivated, and they were motivated. Nebraska was still motivated. You had your worst game at the worst time, and so for this time, and where for once the schedule for this team sets up pretty dang good. As long as they handle the business, they'll be a top 4 seed, and that's more than a successful season on the women's side. And so it sets them up from long term. As far as the NCAA tournament, so now they just got to be able to handle their business while they're at home, continue to get better, be focused, and extremely motivated. Go and play the game to their capabilities, and all things will work out well. So that's good on the women's front. We're going to probably save the big segment for the men's game, which plays tonight against Indiana. But a big men's game went on last night. We'll do this before we go to break. I think we got about 8 minutes left. Is the Creighton Blue Jays. We're playing the number 1 team in the and then the UConn Huskies. Prime time, I think it's on FS1. Obviously, Creighton's been raked all year, and they got a really good team. We saw it up close and personal. And it seems like they have the same type of play, shooters, big man, well coached team. But UConn hadn't lost. UConn ended up losing last year. They got throttled last night. They hadn't lost in all the and they had been playing well. So it wasn't a thing to where it wasn't fool's gold that they hadn't lost too much. They were beating the brakes off of people in a variety of ways. And last night, they faced a Creighton team that was extremely motivated and played really well, played them at home, a great crowd, and they could never really get it going. Now, they started off the game good. They were up 9-7, maybe 10-7 in the first, I think, under 16 break. But then Creighton got going. Ashworth obviously was the star of the game. But when you look at Creighton, what really makes Creighton dangerous, right? They had guys come back last year, which is really good for them. But where Creighton is dangerous, when you look at their starters, right? All of them, well, he had 20 points scored in Ashworth. Shireman did his thing. Alexander did his thing, and then it was big. I met this dude this summer, Brenner. I met him at a charity golf tournament, and he was playing golf. And I'm 6'2", pretty much 6'3". He made me look like a child, and he's a great dude. But he got off right, and he had a big matchup, right? So he was individually motivated. So all their starters had 8 or more points. Then off the bench, Green, local product, Miller North, finally healthy. Now you're starting to see Creighton be more physical and play with more force, right? He had 8 points off the bench, and he got a lot of good love on the call. And then you had Farbello, who essentially, I said Farbello looks like the guy that's at the library checking your library. And he has 6 points off the bench. And look at the assists, right? Shireman has 12 points, 6 assists, 7 boards. That's an all-around player. That's how Creighton hurts you. All-around basketball play. And they put so much pressure on you at every point of the court. It really, I think it surprised you. I know Coach Early wouldn't say it. I know he said the coach did a bad job of coaching, players did a bad job of playing. No, Creighton got after you a little bit because it came down to it. Klingon was dominant throughout the whole NCAA tournament. It gave UConn that X factor, right? Athletic, rim-to-rim runner, a little bit up to 15 feet, very good defensively, rebounder. He got outplayed. So your big guy, your X factor got punched in the stomach. And then, yes, you had a good game by Newton, but that's a little bit, kind of fool's gold considering that he was a volume shooter. 21 shots, only 27 points. You can deal with it. And when you look at Creighton, the most shots, obviously Ashworth was I guess somewhat hot for 3, 5 or 13 for 3, but the most shots was 14 shots. So that's how you play all around basketball. UConn was obviously one player heavy, and that's how they got beat pretty much by 20 points.
And it was late, right? Newton came on late in the second half where Creighton's rolling, and UConn made a run to get it back to 10 points. I think it was 74-64 at one point, but they needed that one more push. They needed someone else to step up, and that's what Creighton did. Was they turned it into a Kristen Newton game, playing in with 12 and 7, a couple steals and a block. Okay game.
Castle did okay,
but Kalkbrenner controlled it, right? Klingon wasn't necessarily a huge factor. Castle, the stud freshman, wasn't anything. And Cam Spencer, who to me is really the key to that team, with his attitude, the way that he can defend, but also the way he can knock down shots, didn't get going at all. Whereas Creighton's, quote unquote, secondary guys like Ashworth hit everything, especially early when it mattered, right? You
answer.
Right. Like you said, you want to start early, you want to play fast, and you want to end well, right? Creighton did that. They came out, they torched it in the second half of the first half. UConn made the run in the late part of the second half, and then Creighton finished strong. Right? If it would have been a 10-point game in your Creighton, you're like, okay, yeah, we won. We controlled it wire to wire, but we know we are more than 10 points better than that team. Now, they were able to push it back to almost 20. Makes me feel really good about it. Like, hey, we didn't just win this game. We dominated this game, and we have the result to prove it.
And the great thing about it, that they were dominating that game. Now, that the defending national champion, that NBA players on their team, they're going to come back. You withstood their little barrage, and then we answer.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask for. Because McDermott, before the game, he can't say, okay, Creighton, players, let's come up. Okay, you guys ready to beat these guys by 20 points? Ready to break. Like, that's not, you're expecting this game to come down to the wire, right? So they've shown something right now in this game. And I think it's the emergence of Green. Because with him, he gives you that physical presence that you thought Trout would give you.
Right.
But it's physical presence, rebounding, stretch, right? Athletic ability.
Yes.
So then you can match up with those guys. And also, even though UConn was number 1, Hawkins being gone, because Klingon thrived when you could bust it out because you can't double down on it.
No.
Right?
Good enough passer.
He was knocked down because Hawkins wasn't just a knockdown shooter. He was a defender as well. So you lose 2 guys when he's in the NBA, end up being a lottery pick. But nevertheless, I will say this, I'm obviously Nebraska all the way, but I'll pull for Creighton when they're not playing for Nebraska. I don't know if ever in history these 2 basketball programs have beaten number 1 teams, in the same year.
It hasn't happened because last night was Creighton's first win over number 1 ever.
There you go. And Nebraska hadn't done it since Horberg,
42 years,
right?
at Missouri,
right? Was it Horberg's grandfather, or
that was the last time he called.
okay?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, but still, first time in Nebraska schools, one not known as a basketball school, number one victory. Hey, and then also the women's too. So we're three.
Yeah.
Right now the pressure's on.
Well, I was two. They weren't.
Iowa was two. Yeah. That is number one. Yeah, close enough. But again, two victories by the men's basketball teams against the number one teams at the time. Obviously, it's good. And congratulations to Creighton. Even though we're Huskers all the way, you got to give a lot of credit. Especially also with them. Just before we go to break, with the Ohio State job opening, and their head coach directly attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's still a really good feat. And under some outside pressure, I think it's awesome. Anyways, we're going to take a quick break. Old school, Jake Foreman, Austin Orman in the podcast studio. We'll be right back.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
We wait all pro football season for the big game. But will you come out on top? Warhorse Festival of Games is putting you at the center of the action with 2 chances to win big. Earn entries for our $100,000 prop card challenge daily at Warhorse Casino Lincoln. Enjoy slots, sports wagering, and horse racing. Then make your picks about the big game to be eligible to win. Qualifying entries will also be put in the running for your share of the $20,000 grand prize drawing. Increase your luck for the drawing by playing free online games on the Festival of Games website. Skip the trip to Vegas and get in on the big game right here at Lincoln's favorite place to play. And if that's not enough, our $1 million bracket challenge for college basketball is coming soon. Full details are online at warhorsecasino.com. Warhorse Casino Lincoln, just minutes from downtown at Highway 77 and West Denton Road. Why not today? Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska, or online in your own home. Learn pottery or floral design, take a computer course, learn Spanish, how to start writing a book, or Air Fryer 101. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of buffet questions. Here's one from Cole.
Is there a real cactus in your cactus bread?
Great question, Cole. No, there is no cactus in our cactus bread, just sweet cinnamony streusel. It's on our buffet every day, along with pizza, chicken, ice cream, and all your other favorites. Even better, at least for your parents, kids eat free on Tuesday nights. And don't worry, Cole, there's no coal in our coleslaw either.
Pizza Ranch, everyone's favorite buffet.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and we'd like to say thank you for a record-setting 2023. So let's start off 2024 with the bang. They've got huge trade-in bonuses and finance bonusing happening right now on our new inventory at Koppel. Get up to $8,500 off select new models at Koppel. So if you're shopping for a new GM product, go to our website at koppelcars.com. You won't believe the discounts. Make that short money-saving drive down 144th Street. You'll be glad you did. Must have trade and finance with approved credit. Stock number G20768.
Step into healing at Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery. Our team of top-notch medical professionals turns pain into progress with state-of-the-art treatments and compassionate care. Visit prairieortho.com and discover the difference in quality orthopedic and plastic surgery services tailored to your unique needs. Your health matters, and Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery is dedicated to helping you thrive. Reach your full potential. Embrace a better tomorrow with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started. Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hey guys, Jake Sorensen here from Early Break. The garage door at our house has been needing replacement for a couple years, and a few months ago, we finally did something about it. Steve's Garage Doors and Services was great through the whole process in providing options and also going to the next level to get a door that was approved by our HOA. And best of all, the removal of the old door and installation of the new door was done smoothly with no issues. Call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today at 402-480-2840.
All right, we're back. Dave Foreman, Austin Norman, old school, second segment again. In back, this is like the first time I think I've ever been back here.
Hey.
Podcast studio, the green room, and everything like that. It's the green room, boom boom room. For you guys that ever watched that movie, I forget what it's called. But you know, big game tonight for Nebraska. Everybody knows Nebraska has been excellent at home. It's almost like we've been so dominant, both offensively, defensively, crowd. It actually has become, I think, a little bit of an intimidation factor for teams coming in. They're going to defend. They're going to be physical. They're going to play with more force. But on the flip side, I guess is what they call it, Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
That you, it's a totally different team that goes on the road, and they just look. And I think that when you want to be a good road team, the offense, you're not going to be able to say we're going to score 80 points a game on the road.
No.
Especially in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
And they know each other. Coaches know each other. Players know each other. But the one thing that you should be able to do, and I'll just, Austin, basketball. And big shout out to Lincoln Lutheran at a game last night. Right?
Heck yeah, Kentucky County.
Yeah. And was it 56, 52 or something?
Something in that range, 45 maybe. Yeah.
All right, I don't mean to do it. But you have to be able to pack your defense on the road. And I call it, I'm not sure what you call it in your basketball mind. I call it being stick, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be crisp on our switches. We're going to be crisp on our closeouts. We're going to be crisp in our communication. We're going to be physical, and we're going to try to stifle them by having a really good percentage of not giving up offensive rebounds. So that means we got to be a really good defensive rebounding team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what people don't understand, just in my opinion, right? And I know that people always think, "Oh, you're just a dumb football player," but I play basketball. I love basketball. I love basketball. I think that when you talk about defense, now those are the things I talk about. The notes, right? Mm-hmm. Being steady, that hand up, and all the stupid fouls. Not be, close to getting the double bonus with like 12 minutes left. But I think it comes down to defensive rebound. Mm-hmm. And that's always been Nebraska's Achilles heel, right? Yeah. Just go back to Rutgers. Felt like, Fred said we got out physical against them. Mm-hmm. Rutgers they were hungry that night. or other games, up in Minnesota, right? When we played, and again, the women's team go up there. Nebraska had a double-digit lead, I think, going into halftime, and essentially got doubled up by Minnesota's offensive output. Now, listen, I will say this: that Minnesota loss is a lot different now versus then. They're playing dang good basketball right now, but Nebraska was the better team. So I think ultimately, over maybe the last 2 or 3 years, defensive rebounding is something that really, really tells you whether Nebraska is going to win or not. Because, and people ask why, and give me your opinion. Give you mine. I feel like defensive rebounding is that you've done all the work to get them to miss the shot. Defensive rebounding essentially doubles down on it and gets the ball back. So you're like starting to like tighten it. It's like a snake starting to squeeze the life out of you. Because I think offensive rebounding is the equivalent to in the football analogy of giving up a 3rd and 8. And it's not by Travis Kelce running wide open. It's because you missed a check. You missed a wide open tackle at 3 yards. You didn't have good play in. These are things that generally you can control, right? Boxing out, rebounding, generally you'll want to. And so when you think about Nebraska playing at home, and we need to, I'll dig into these numbers maybe when we get a little bit more free time, is the guard rebounding what's going to be my next point down the road at home versus away. Because to be a good rebounding team, it's not having Barkley, Patrick Ewing, and Shaq, and be like, okay, we're rebounding. You know what I mean? Well, you gotta have guards that rebound, right? So you gotta be active, right? You gotta be in the right spot. And part of rebounding defensively is having the right rotation. So it all comes together, all goes together in communication. Because if I'm out of position and it's a long rebound and I'm still kind of out there in la la land, offensive rebound, one more pass, drive kick, like Strick says, but naked 3, frustration. We're running down the court thinking about what we did back there in the offense output sputters. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think for this team, the defensive rebounding aspect of it is about the focus, where they have a lot of guys that can go get a bucket one-on-one to some degree on the offensive end, but defensive rebounding isn't a one-person job. It never has been, never will be. Even when, Dennis Rodman was going off with his crazy rebounding numbers, Andre Drummond, these guys that put up 20 rebound games, it's not just luck. It's not just one guy. It's a team effort. And so for this team, I think if they're locked in on the defensive end for 25 seconds, they force a tough shot. If they lose focus in the last 5 seconds, where that ball's out there bouncing around, or they forget to go get a body, then they lose focus on the offensive end. They either try to make up for the mistake, or they're not locked in, they're not communicating on offense, and they start standing. So much about what Nebraska does, both on offense and defense, when they're successful, is because they're working in tandem. Yeah. Because it's basketball poetry, essentially. Right. All 5 guys moving, active, doing their job, engaged and focused. And I think a lot of times Nebraska guards will just say, "Oh, Rink's tall. Oh, Josiah gives energy.
Or he has it.
Yeah, he's got it." Where it's not like we're asking Bryce Williams to, sky above the rim. We're not asking Keisei Tominaga to average a double-double with rebounds. We're just saying, just do your job. Do your effort. And that's where the communication part you mentioned comes in. How Nebraska plays, the way that they rotate, scramble around, automatic double on a post catch, right? It's important to communicate out of that, especially if there's a skip backside. Guys are going to be flying back out. Well, you can't forget the backside, where the pass just came from, essentially. You can't just turn your head, right? It's funny to watch, Jay. I'm sure you see this in your coaching days, too. It's easy to deter offensive rebounders from going to the rim just by looking at them. Look at him, maybe give him a little forearm,
right, and
they'll dip. But if they know that you're not even going to look at them, that's when they get aggressive. They smell that blood in the water. They try to take advantage. So really, all I would ask Casey and Bryce, even CJ to some degree, Marcus when he's in the game, just put a forearm on your guy. Forearm and go. Don't just turn your head and watch. That's the easiest way to give up offensive rebounds. Give him a forearm, deter him. He won't go. He's back down court. Okay. Now we have a much greater chance to secure this rebound. We can outlet him go.
Yeah. I think you're completely right. Is like, you have a young son, but when your kids get older, man, it's like, when they see you not looking, they're going to go into the cookie jar, or they're going to go do, hey, don't do that. They're going to do it. Right. Right. That's what it's like offensive rebound. It's like, oh, Austin's not going to check me out. Well, let me go see if I can get my hands on, another cookie. And what I'm in. If you eliminate that, and it's almost like teach them early. You really set yourself up for more offensive output because I think in Nebraska takes the mindset of okay, look, we score at home, we defeat it, but let's just plan on that our offensive output is going to take 15% more energy just based on defensively they're going to be on. Let's just say home court advantage, right? Both by the crowd and say the refs, right? It's always out there over Nebraska. Everybody's out to get Nebraska. And just say we don't know the rim, right? You don't practice there all the time. Right. You're not familiar. You're not how to get to the stadium. You're riding on a bus. It's foreign territory. So let's just say it's going to take 10 to 15%. Well, how do we get that back? Well, we get it back on the defensive end, and
not by saving 10 or 15% on the defense, and give an extra 10 or 15% down there, and that translates, right?
Yeah, because the old adage from Bobby Knight, your boy Coach Kennedy, John Thompson, to Roy Williams, especially Bill Self, they said, you work your tail off on defense, rest on offense. Because, and I think if they adapt to that and understand, and then also I'll say this also before we get into some of these stats is like, when are you going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired? Aren't you tired of, the Rutgers game? I felt like they just got worn out, right? And there was talk that the AC magically went out. That gym looked hot.
LeBron in the 14 finals.
Right. It looked hot in there, right? Now, but the other game where you just don't even look like yourself. When are we going to get over that? Because you can't say it's all being here at PBA. And it can't be. We have a great atmosphere, right? But you also, so it's got to be something that we can control. And we have to take the mindset, let's go up there and play our best game for 40 minutes. Let's see what happens after that. And the wins will take care of itself, right? Let's go play our best game, because when we play our best game, we've already beat the number one team. Right? We've already beat this team in Indiana at home pretty convincingly. And we match up well against them.
I think so.
And that's a great thing too. Sometimes it could be matchups, right? I think Minnesota caught them by surprise because the best player was out, and the guy that got busy on the offensive rebound end is probably a little bit more athletic at that point in time for Gary. That was, I think, I'm not sure if he played that game, and Rick Mass was just starting to find his way. And so that brings me to the last game, right? They won 86-70 at home. In my opinion, before we get into it, I think if they win this game on the road, I think this gives them like a step and a half towards being a shoe-in for the NCAA tournament. I think the decision makers are watching. They're essentially like, all right, Nebraska, make us right. Make us make it easy for you or for us.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll beat this team. And so they won by 20 points. And I think, what the keys to victory is, number one, is contain Khalil Ware. Last game he got, that was like a coming out party.
A little bit.
Right? And he looked like Wimby a little bit because he's 7 foot tall. He had 20 points and 10 rebounds, 9 and 12 shooting. And of those 10 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds, right? A lot of drive and dive, alley-oop, put back dunks. There you go, right? So that's the guy that you got to really, ideally, you'd like to force him into a little bit deeper shots, because that's where Nebraska did well. And then now he is athletic to get his offensive rebound. We got to get bodies on him. So you can't just all be left down to Rick Mass. No. It's got to be Alec. It's got to be Gary. It's got to be the guards as well. A little bit of Williams, because you might get switched on him. Get him off of that block. That 5-foot range, he was destroying us. The second thing I want your opinion on that, but also we have to do another really good job on Trey Galloway, right? I think he's their tempo setter. He's their kind of K-State Tamanaga. Not to the, he's not able to be, knock on wood, and so explosive, but he's the guy that they're true outside threat. He's been there like forever. He's like Aaron Kraft, right? He's been there. So Nebraska did a really good job on him, right? 4-10 shooting, only 2 of 6 threes, but more importantly, forced him into 4 turnovers. That's the continuous of different body types, active hands against them at home. We got to bring that on the road. And so those are my 2 big keys to victory. Going there to Bloomington, Indiana. What are yours?
Yeah, turnovers, I think, are a big story for this one, because Indiana turned over 19 times in the first match of the PBA. everyone in the starting lineup had at least one. Renault had 4, Ware had 4.
Yep.
Xavier Johnson, I think, was just coming back, a game or two back from injury. He had 4. Galloway had 3. So I think Nebraska can do a good job of upping the defensive pressure. Again, I don't love Indiana's ball handlers. But if they can't get into their sets, Ware can't dominate you.
Right.
Is really what it comes down to at the end of the day. I think you have to do a good job on Mbako. Again, went 2 of 4 from 3. Those are only made 2 goals. He didn't have an impact in that game. I think he's an X factor for Indiana too, just because of his talent level.
Right.
I think he's starting to put it together a little bit more. And then watch out for Renault, right? He was probably the best player for Indiana outside of completely aware that first game, 14, 6, and 5 for him. But at the same time, he's kind of played his way into the doghouse a little bit. I think he's fed up with the way the season's going. I don't think he and Mike Woodson are on the best terms right now.
I don't think so either.
So that can go 2 ways. Either he gets in his feelings, he's emotional about it, and he starts pouting, or he puts his head down and gets to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume he puts his head down and gets to work again. So Indiana definitely has talent. Their record kind of belies that 14-11, 6-8 overall. To your point about it being like a game and a half for the committee, I completely agree. Yeah. I think Indiana still has enough of a brand. They haven't been terrible all year. They just never maybe popped up to the heights people thought they would. So I think of the road games that you have left, this one can do the most for you. So I'm saying this is one of the, if not the most important game left on the Nebraska schedule.
Yeah, for sure. And they have talent. And you know, one thing that you want them to do, right? A little bit of mindset. If I was out there playing against, Indiana, or talking to Renault or Galloway or even Ware, I'd be like, during like the TV timeouts there, it's like, oh, you need some more shots. you need to, we've been watching, you've been playing way better than Renault, right? Then I go to Renault, man, you can play way better than Galloway. How do they not keep it? I'm getting shots. Why? It's not encouraging them to kick your butt. It's encouraging them to be more selfish.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you think of just who they have, right? Like if I was building a basketball team, in any sport, you want to be strong down the middle, right? Galloway, who's a guard, who's been around forever, so he's a decent player. Then you got Ware, essentially in the center, right? And then you got Renault, that's kind of in between. Well, if you can get one or both of them to not operate cohesively, then my job is easy. And saw that a little bit with Renault. I felt like shooting so many deep shots, right? But he's not. He's a good outside shooter. He's not explosive off the bounce. So he's not like a Gary, even though he's bigger than Gary. So you'd actually like him to, since he doesn't necessarily want to play to his size, you want to try to make him play physical. And then you want Ware to try to show his range, right? Yeah. So I'd get in there and say, man, Fred Foreman said, man, you could be a pick 5 in the league, right? Getting his head through that, get him off the board, and Renault, then we can try to get him in foul trouble, get him out of not out of sport, back in Mike Woodson's doghouse, because it's a 50-50 game. I like those games. I think the mindset of this team has to be less. Like it has to be, I guess, pod oriented. And I want your opinion on this, right? Granted, you're gonna put up your thing. We want to, eliminate offensive rebounds. We want to win defensive rebounds and all that stuff for toughness, all this stuff. We're gonna play hard, right? But what we want to do is get our pods together. And the pods that really won that game last night was the guard play. When you think of Casey, Williams, and Lawrence, who's been essentially, he's like, I call him a quarter type of player. Every fourth game he gets this, right? But the last game he did, right? So between those three, you had 55 points, 8 steals, and 10 rebounds. That's pure domination, right? And then also you throw it in there. DJ, I think, had 13 off the bench, right? So you throw that's 68 points between your guards and whatever. But I'm gonna put DJ with Gary, right? We want that pod to win between Gary and CJ if they like Renault and his two. We want to win those, and then inside, I think Rink Master is going to be more than motivated for this matchup because it wasn't bad shots by Rink Master. It was just like the rim was. It was like, you know what I'm saying? He got good shots. He got those spots. He's shooting better for 3, so now he's going to be able to, set things up for other teammates. And I think he's a little bit more savvy in this Fred Hoiberg offense. And I think, Josiah Alec is playing 3 times better than he had been prior. So I think their group will hopefully beat Indiana.
For sure. I think I'll start with Rink Mass. 3 of 10 overall, 0 3 from 3. Some of his misses, I think, where he just wasn't used to the athleticism of Ware. Right?
Yeah.
Ware can jump out of the gym. He's long, he's rangy.
Yeah.
So I think Rink Mass has a better idea now of what to expect from him. So he knows what angles to take. He knows the spin he has to use for some of these shots. I think defensively, Ware's a bad matchup for Mass when he tries to take him on the block. I think the more you stretch Ware out away from the basket, I think you can get busy on him handling. I think he'll hit a spot up or two. Even the passing, like Ware wants to block shots. He falls for shot fakes, right?
Yeah.
Use that against him. I think Josiah Alec being in the starting lineup is also an interesting sort of dynamic that Indiana hasn't seen from Nebraska yet. It's not the same Nebraska team that was back in Lincoln, right? I think there's a role for Jamarcus Lawrence to play, but I'm curious to see if Nebraska goes to the big men first, right? Do they try to establish inside, whereas Alec and Renault are similar size, but like you said, Renault doesn't like to play that size, or does Nebraska say, hey, Bryce Williams, go to work on a freshman. He can't guard you. He doesn't want to guard. They say, you're quicker than Trey Galloway. Lose him around some screens and get going early like you did. I think it's another guard game for Nebraska.
Sure, and they should win that game. And you could have Gary in there as well because he's kind of a 2-3 in the worst case scenario. And you got to think coming off a really good game for him, 5-9 against Penn State. And they have, I think, I like their starting lineup a little bit better now. Right, you got Bryce Williams, K. and Gary, Rink Mass, and Alec. And the reason why you're able Marcus Lawrence out. And we saw this maybe, I think, against Rutgers. And we'll do this real quick before we go to break. Is that you saw a lot more Rick Mass being kind of like Derek Walker, bringing the ball up, spacing the court, allowing things to be a little bit more spaced out and move a little bit, more freely, more consistent. So you can put Lawrence off, take him off the ball, be more of a dog. Or now we got to get CJ a little bit off, 0 for 4, 1 for 6. You can't expect it every time. But you got Sam Hoiberg that's able to come and give you bulldog minutes, Jacobson, and then that's kind of like where, I call it the Jay Foreman time where you get in there. But I like this. I think Josiah Alec, the way he's playing, he's welcomed it. He found out what is effective to him. I think it took a little while for him to get used to Big Ten play. Coming from New Mexico and playing here, it's two different things. And I think that's why you're seeing Rick Mass is better. Gary's more healthy, and he is going to give you that physicality and that you need. And so, I think it sets up well for Nebraska. I'm excited to watch tonight. But with that being said, Jay Foreman, Austin Norman, old school. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to put a bow on this hump day in the podcast room. We'll be right back.
When it comes to joining the Nebraska Army National Guard, you've heard it all before. College, healthcare, signing bonus. But joining is so much more than that. It's setting yourself up for a new and better chapter of your life. I'm Staff Sergeant Paul White, and because of the Nebraska Army National Guard, I'm in control of my career. And when the workday ends, I get to come home to my family. Write your next chapter by joining the Nebraska Army National Guard. For more information, schedule a meeting with me, Staff Sergeant Paul White at NationalGuard.com.
You can get diesel anywhere, but what about Atomic Diesel? That comes from Stern. Atomic Diesel is your solution to all your cold weather problems. Prevent clogged fuel filters, increase your fuel economy, and save money with Atomic Diesel. Contact Roger at Stern today by calling 1-800-477-2744 to see how Atomic Diesel and the rest of their line of fuels and lubricants can keep your operation running at max capacity.
At Southeast Community College, community is our middle name. Our continuing education classes offer personal interest, traffic safety and licensing, online learning, and adult education classes across Southeast Nebraska, or online in your own home. Learn to ride a motorcycle, how to start a small business, how to dance, or take a course to advance in your current career path. See the full schedule of continuing education classes online at southeast.edu/continuing. SCC, your path to possible.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
24/7 threat monitoring, expert tech support, streamlined communications. Allo has a solution for that. Protect your business with Allo Business. Comprehensive firewall security, Microsoft Teams voice-integrated communications, cybersecurity and IT support managed by experts. From productivity to peace of mind, Allo has a solution for that. Allo means business. Protect your business by visiting allofiber.com/business.
Introducing The Outlet by Sartor Heyman. The Outlet brings you luxurious Sartor Heyman quality jewelry at unbeatable prices. Shop our expansive inventory of overstocked merchandise and a vast estate collection that just hasn't found its home yet. This is your chance to own stunning designer jewelry at a fraction of the cost. Elevate your style at The Outlet by Sartor Heyman, where luxury and affordability meet. Downtown at 12th and O or online at sartorheyman.com.
We're back. Quick segment, about 5 minutes before we go enjoy this eventually 70-degree day in here in Lincoln. Jay Foreman, Austin Norman, Old School. Once again, brought to you by the Mercado, certified Piedmontese, special ingredients and butcher shop. 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, every type of meat, every type of cut. And I encourage everybody that are true grill masters, go get their tomahawk. It is off the charts. And I didn't post any pictures because I didn't want to wait any longer to eat it. I will post the next one. I do have 2 of them. So I want to bet off of Jake Sorensen.
That was one of the first things I heard about when I got here, was your bet with Jake and how he didn't want to pay up.
He didn't. He had to pay up because we were doing a remote there. We need to get back out there. And the Bills swept the Dolphins, and we won the AFC East for at that time, the 3rd time in a row. But speaking of football, real quick, we were down in Vegas. I did get to see Antonio Pierce, who was a former teammate of mine. Really good dude. I'm really happy for him. But he's head coach of the Raiders, newly signed to be the Raiders head coach maybe a week or 2 before. And he was on the pivot, I think. And he had a really good, maybe he was there with Max Crosby. And he's bringing a different mentality there. Whether it's the black shoes, if you know what that means, black Air Force Ones, it's murder session. I will tell you, Austin, I did bring out the black Air Force Ones one time. We were and the kids, I didn't know if they knew, but they knew. Yeah. And, by no means do I portray myself as a gangster, but I was just trying to do that. But one of the things Antonio Pierce said that he implemented, he said the Detroit Pistons had the Jordan rule. Jordan comes to the lane, he just give him an elbow, and he said with Patrick Mahomes, it's the Patrick Mahomes rules. And he explained it. We want to get hits on him. We want to touch him. We want to annoy him. We want to get off the spots. And you saw like one of his first time as an interim coach, they go on the road and did the best job against the Chiefs. And obviously had a pick six, and it was kind of like the lowest of the lows, if there ever was one for Kansas City on their way to win another world championship. I want to know what your thoughts are on it, because I like that he said it. I like that they have it, because you need. I was telling somebody down the Super Bowl, there's not a quarterback that's played. That's from Johnny Unitas, Red Grange, or whatever his name was, Tom Brady, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, any of them, Patrick Mahomes, that plays well when you're getting hit. Or, you know what I mean? They never do. And so that's a known. But I think when you have the Mahomes rule, I like it because you're changing the mentality. Don't be scared of anybody. I always wonder about like athletes. You see a lot of this in schools, right? We're playing against so and so, and he's a 4-star, and this team is this. Like I call it defeatist attitude, showing up with half a L already. So I like that mentality. And Antonio Pierce, undrafted free agent, played I think 10 years in the league. Won at least one Super Bowl with the Giants. Was right up there in leadership with everybody that's played there. So I like that mentality that starting to infuse in the Raiders, trying to bring true, organic toughness and standards back to the Las Vegas Raiders.
It makes sense what you said about hit him, touch him, annoy him, get him off his spots. That's how you beat every quarterback.
Yeah.
Where the Mahomes rules, I think I would tell my guys, is, again, maybe not publicize it, is DB stay attached. Right?
Yes.
He's going to try to extend plays. That's Mahomes rule. Edge rushers, keep contained. Right? You're essentially our spies. Don't turn back inside. You can roll out of the pocket. And he's
Stay on your feet. Stay on your feet. Interior rushers.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. Always be active. Extra step. Don't ever assume he's down. Knock him down.
Yes. You see him on the ground.
Yeah.
Put him on the ground
Right.
yourself. He's not down until you do that. Where I view what Antonio Pierce is doing is similar to like Dan McCartney in Colorado, banning the color red, anything like that. That's really what it feels like. If that's what it takes to get over the hump, go for it. But you also can't make the two Kansas City games for Super Bowls at the same time, right? It's a long season.
Right.
You finished behind Los Angeles pretty recently. Finished behind Denver pretty recently, right? So, yes, you have to target Mahomes. He's the guy that's on top. You want to take him down. So, yeah, ban the color red, all you want there. Focus on him, maybe a little bit even the week before to prepare. But you can't forget the other 15 games on the schedule.
Yeah, because I think it's Patrick Mahomes is that dude, man. I mean, I think the league is on notice that Kansas City backdoor their way into the championship. This is their weakest team. Well, no matter what they say, that's why they celebrated the way they did. Right. All we have to do is turn up for a little bit. You guys just fell to the wayside. Now wait till we really get good. And this dude is finding different ways to beat you. So the league's on notice. The guys that they thought they could challenge him, Jalen Hurts showed a lot of weaknesses. Josh Allen has played well. The rest of the team let him down. Brock Purdy just isn't there. Maybe we'll get there, but will San Francisco still have that little roster? Probably not. So when you have, I think I would adapt. First of all, when the Raiders play Kansas City, it's a different type of week, right? It's different. Like when we played Miami Dolphins when I was in Buffalo, you wearing the edge was there. I didn't want to talk to family. I didn't want to talk to nothing. When we used to go play Pittsburgh, once you get in Pittsburgh and it's always gray and gloomy and it's a steel city, you know what type of mentality that you're going to have to show up to play. It's not going to be a game for the faint of heart. That's the way it is. So that's always there in Kansas City. And then also with a great quarterback, crank it up. I'd also want to have a little bit of rules for Kelsey as well with great play. But above that, if I was talking to Antonio Pierce, we need to set a new rule of quarterback rules. Quarterbacks in the league. We're not going to hurt you, but we're going to hit you. We're going to bump you. We're going to nudge you. We're going to be in your face. We don't even, and
we're going to tell you that.
Right. And it's one of those things where I know I said that, I don't know if it was YouTube or whatever, Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
Whenever I need it, whenever I'm having a bad day, I literally watch it 10 times because there's always something else that I see or I see in there that makes me laugh. But the thing I'm saying about with the quarterback, right, Austin, and this is just a little thing that you do is